Hello, everybody, and welcome to something new, something a bit different, something a little special. I'm here. Here we go. Let me just make sure I'm getting everything right. Oh boy, oh boy. Look at me go. No? Oh no. Not quite yet. Alright, it seems like I'm on the screen, which is great. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very little special first time stream. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Like, this is a bit of a odd time to do it, but thank you if you are up early and ready to. I have no clue. What are we gonna do today? Well, this is just a way for me to kind of get a little bit of extra content out there without having to do a ton of just general editing and all my kind of normal style and stuff. Anyway, oh, Clinton's here. Hello, Clinton. How's it going? Nice. So we got 3 viewers. Well, let's just get right into it and get going. 3, whoa. Here we go. Beautiful. Not as nice looking as the other stuff, but hey ho. So today I was planning on doing a Vinland Saga tier list, as you probably can tell. And there's quite a few characters here, but these tier lists are quite tough because sometimes I just put a ton of weird side characters, weird and wacky side characters in here, and it's a bit kind of like, not sure if I really want to rank all of these, but hey, we'll get into the flow of things and we'll find out how it's going. Also, say hello to the YouTube video. I'm hoping to edit this down so it's nice and, I don't know, just nice and easier to watch than me just rambling for ages. Anyway. Alright. If there's any issues, put in chat. But let's get right into it. So, ideally, as most tier lists should go, S, it should be a nice little bell curve. So S and E are going to be the least amount, and then C should be the most, or B. Now, I do have an NA for all those characters that I do not just have an opinion on because they're just like, they're just in the wind, kind of bland, don't really mind about them too much. I have just no opinion on them in general. So, yeah. So, E's the only tier for characters I don't like. I think S to D is going to be just tiers for like, yeah, I like this character a ton, to, yeah, I'm pretty cool with this character. Because Vinland Saga is one of those series where, personally, I dislike pretty much all the characters, apart from the ones that disappoint me greatly. And we will get into those. Okay, first things first. If I forget any of the characters' names, that's just how it's going to be. But anyway, sweet. Let's first get into Anne. So Anne, if she's from like episode 14 in the anime, probably around about chapter 30-ish. And she's just a character that pops up, and I'm actually a really big fan of her. It's kind of similar to Berserk's Lost Children, Lost Children arc, where it's just like this this poor young person just caught up in like the state of like complete violence and just war, and it just sucks. But I love how it kind of implements her family's more legalistic religiousness in there. So it's got that, like, if you do this, you're gonna go to hell. And it's an interesting how it kind of plays with the psychology there. So she then, I think at the end, kind of thinks, oh wait, because I stole this ring, my family has now died, and and now that's my fault. So it's a powerful, small little story in the middle of this greater story going on in the prologue. So it's just fantastically written. I love it a lot. So C tier, like she only appears for a short amount of time, so it's kind of hard to rank her any higher, but the impact she left is strong. Now, this one is this is Ilva's husband. His name is it Ari? It's just Ari, I think. I'm gonna put him in NA. I really do not care too much. I think he may have been able to have more happen with him in general if, let's say, like, I don't know. If Ilva actually, I mean, we'll get to Ilva. We'll get to Ilva later. But, like, if Ilva had a bit more focus on her, then we maybe could, like, expand her relationship with Ari. But he has this kind of early on point where he's kind of shown to be an idiot compared to Thor's, and really not that, and Leaf, in fact. And so it kind of props up Leaf and Thor's to be more mature and kind of shows them as an example to follow. So that's nice. But as a character on his own, I'm really unopinionated on him. Next, we have the big boy, everybody's favorite boy. And I'll be honest, Askeladd is probably one of the most overhyped characters when it comes to Vinland Saga, without a doubt. I mean, it's understandable why he has a lot of depth, and he's interesting because he's old. I feel like lots of characters can kind of, at least stories I've seen, often follow someone from their youth to when they get older, and we're on that journey with them. Askeladd's like the opposite. We've come in when he's already really old, and we're trying to figure out what his life is like and who he is, and I think that's the real intrigue of Askeladd. Honestly, though, like his final scene didn't hit that hard with me. It's one of those scenes that like I read it and I was like, I know that it may sound impossible to some, but like, yeah, I was like, not that big a thing. I'm not a big fan of the kind of the mind games aspect, like of those things like Death Note or even Code Geass. Like those things have never really intrigued me thoroughly. Yeah, like, but there are cool moments in there. And if you didn't think I was going to put Askeladd in S tier, then you were sorely mistaken. Askeladd, as I said before, he comes into the beginning and you're just like, I'm not sure if I like this guy. Like, he just killed my favorite man, Thor's. And then he just keeps building. And there's little blocks on top of it. And you have to realize how I first watched the series was through the anime. And then first 3 episodes at least, and then I jumped onto the manga afterwards. So like the order was kind of screwed around in my head a little bit. So I think I may have actually disliked Askeladd more because I liked Thor's more because of how the anime kind of pushes Thor's into the light more. But he kind of builds up. He has this initial intrigue of where he first says, "Oh, like in the first duel, I'm son of Ulf. I think that's how you say the name, Olaf or whatever." And then he says, "Oh, I'm son of Artorius." And so that is those little details like that you see in the writing that is like different. And I noticed it. I'm like, oh, he's different. And he's got a Roman breastplate play on, and it leads all these little nuggets. Put Askeladd in A tier for the spice. Ooh, you know what? There's extra spice coming along. I'm not the most spicy chap, but honestly, like I'm not big on Askeladd in general, but he's got like the reread potential. He was probably B tier when I first read Vinland Saga. I'll say that. Then, definitely when I finished the prologue, he was B tier. And then you reread it, and like he's got the great line of like he hates Vikings, and then he calls himself at the end, "I'm nothing but a Viking." Fantastic line. And you know, like there's so much to dig into. Like one of his earliest scenes is where he says, "Oh, you know, everybody's a slave to someone," the classic. And then you think to yourself, okay, well, Thorfinn is clearly a slave to his vengeance. Thor's maybe a slave to his ideals. Bjorn, as we find out, is maybe a slave to his friendship to Askeladd, and he's tied down because of that, and he just sticks with Askeladd no matter what because they're best bros. And Askeladd is a slave to the idea of Artorius. And when you kind of make that connection, you're just like, he knows he's a slave. And he says that. And Askeladd is smart enough. He's mature enough to know that. And that's like, this is the thing. Like, Askeladd, like, there's some characters, I don't know if I've gone to the bottom of Askeladd yet, but man, he is fantastic. I just think people overrate his superficial characteristics. I don't think like his wittiness is that enjoyable, but it is just fun to watch him unveil more and more. All right, I think that's enough spiel for Askeladd. People care too much about Askeladd. I mean, I think people overhype him a little too much. But hey, and not for the right reasons. Grumpy old man Askeladd, I have to agree with Kyle here. Grumpy old Askeladd is the best. Next, we've got Arnid, and I think Arnid's a hard one, but she's probably going to go in B tier. Now, Arnid is the backbone of the Farmland arc, and Farmland arc is, I'm not going to say which one is my favorite, because I honestly don't know, but Farmland arc is fantastic, and she is the backbone. She's this angel. The whole idea is that she has done like nothing wrong, like ever, and like she's just like so nice, and you feel so bad for her because her life is the tragedy, is the most unfair. she's the most undeserving of the position that she's in, and it is just yeah, beat it for her. She's we she's just not quite around long enough. I think my issues with her is that she's almost, and this is how what the arc hinges on her being perfect, but that almost doesn't give her character depth until Garda turns up and she has that moment of weakness, and you've already seen the pieces of the perfect farmland kind of fall apart, like and when I say this is not referring to the arc, this is their time on the farm. It's been great, it's been lovely, and you're like, oh, they're gonna get free, and then you just see bits and pieces fall off, and we'll get more into those characters that kind of lead into this overall narrative that kind of, as you see it all fall apart. And Arnid taking that turn is so human, and it's so awesome, and you just have to love her for it. I had to realize Vinland Saga tiers, like these tiers are kind of arbitrary. It's just an opportunity for me to really talk about them, but in a very quick sense. But Arnid, once again, a fantastic character. I think though, and it may be a little tough, but her thing with Aina is a bit odd to me because I never got the impression that she actually liked him, like she ever would have gotten together with him, and that almost seems like Aina has this grandiose view that he could actually go with Arnie, and it seems a bit frivolous. Maybe she did. Maybe she seemed to find him somewhat charming, but I think that's probably where I kind of my small fault that kind of stops her from getting to A tier for me is because I didn't feel like she quite got there. But there's so many scenes where Arnie is just so good. So no disrespect on our girl, but Arnie is Arnie's B tier. And then we got next one, which is Asgeir. He's Thorfinn's right hand man. He gets a lot of buzz. People like him a lot. And he's a good side character. But he's definitely a D tier for me. People are gonna be mad at me putting disrespect on this lad's name. Honestly, I didn't know who he was until Baltic Sea War arc. I completely forgot about him in the prologue. Until I reread it, of course. But he serves his purpose really well, and I actually quite like him in the Baltic Sea War arc. He has these small little bits of where he's he's a really good reality check for Thorkel, and he's a good person to bounce off. Like, at the end of the day, you know that Thorkel, lots of Thorkel's success is coming down to this chap here. He, just because he's got, like, when he kind of manipulates Sigurd into going in and kind of being his little pawn to open up the gates, he's very strategic, he's crafty, and he's nice for that. But he's also a bit of a so he's one of those characters where you're like, okay, he's got lots of depth to him, but we haven't seen him much, and you've enjoyed every moment of him, but he hasn't got quite that C tier potential. Oh yeah, so you don't remember him? Yeah, Asgeir, I can't remember. Like, all these names are a bit hard to remember, but if you when you go back, read a few of his things. They're good. They're good. He's good. Next is Halfdan's wife. What's her name? She's going in detail. She's another like good character that she actually very similar to Azir. They both like got these big, larger than life male characters, and they just help kind of neutralize them. What is this lady's name? It begins with an A. I forget. Anyway, Halfdan's wife. She is a really good way to kind of put Halfdan in his place a few times. So Halfdan acts like he's a big boy, which he is. He's got his chain. He's got his scary looks. But she just doesn't. She's lived with him for so long. And at the end of the day, she's like, boy, we're living in Iceland in the 11th century, and like honestly. You think yourself like you kind of put yourself a bit too high up there at Halfdan, and she's just a good like counterbalance to him. This lad, he's the guy in Wales. He has one scene, and I don't really. That's not enough for me to make opinion off of him really. Though he does have a pretty strong character. I just not much to say on him. I forget his name again. Next one is Atli. I love it that I love that he turns up again in the Baltic Sea arc. It's so cool when it's like there's continuity within the world and they kind of call back to things. I heard One Piece was very good at this. I haven't read One Piece, but he comes back, and the fact that he's back stealing, and when Askeladd told him not to, and he just is too weak-willed not to do that. Like it's another one of those small side characters that you're just like, oh, it's a sad time. You remember him, but like it's just good stuff. Another D tier. Dang, we got so many D tiers in a row. Oh, Azzy is here again. Hey, let's put two better than one. Am I right? All right. Excuse me. Next one is Badger. If any of you guys remember this bloke, he's one of the guests. He's the one that gets first killed by Garda, I think, and he just gets absolutely slaughtered. I mean, I like his design, but he's an NA for me. I don't know, not applicable. He does not fit on this tier list. Dang, D tier's looking kind of big now. I'm gonna take the second as gear, so want to get that bell curve going. Next one is Boulder. Oh boy, if I did not. Boulder's a character that I've warmed up to, but I'm so mixed on. He is okay. I have a little pet peeve when it comes to these younger characters that just seem so emotionally mature compared to the rest of the cast. And I think in the Baltic Sea War, Boulder just seems like the smartest person, one of the most like mature people outside of this whole fight. And so it's really confusing to not confusing, but it does rub me the wrong way. And this is definitely a personal taste thing, that he's like so self-reflective, and I normally love that in characters. But thematically, Boulder is so good, and when he's in the scene with Thorfinn, and Thorfinn's about to kill Floki, and then the thing is with Boulder, what's so nice about him is that in that. Okay, Clinton, you like him? Yeah. No, Boulder is like in that scene. If Thorfinn kills Floki, Thorfinn has effectively killed his own dad. He has killed his Thor's. Because Boulder is Thorfinn. The parallels are incredibly strong. Both of them are vying for this position within to be the Viking leader. Thorfinn is trying to be pushed there by Thorkel, and Boulder's being pushed there by Floki. And it's oh well, never mind. It's turned up. Yeah. It's pretty based. My opinions are great. Yeah. So Bold, because of that, my initial not liking him, but he's warmed up and he's probably gonna keep on going up the tier list. But he's a C for now. He's not D tier. I like the thematic stuff. Yukimura is so strong on his themes, and that is something that I think even if you don't like the Baltic Sea War arc, you can't take that away from it. And at least what it's trying to do is very clear on what it's trying to do, and we're probably getting that into more later. Cordelia. Now, I just want to see more of her. I've not seen enough of her really. It's a shame. She's going on at the top of not applicable. Her backstory with Thorkel. I mean, I know there's a bit of controversy there, and to be honest, I'd like someone to explain it to me more. But yes. So well, I think I understand the controversy because I don't want to overstep my bounds because I don't quite know enough, and I don't want to talk about it anyway. But I love how I hope that Yukimura hasn't overloaded himself with characters to play around with, because we have Ivar, I want more Aina, I want more Ivar, I want Hill. He's going a lot with Hill, but you need Thorfinn, we need Gudrid, we also need Carly, and Bug Eyes, can't forget Bug Eyes, and now Cordelia as well. I wonder if we are going to kind of, if he can fit in the time. And the thing is, this is my only worry is that Yukimura does get a little burnt out. His most recent birthday tweet, his birthday was 3 days ago. He was like, "Oh, I can't write as fast as I used to, but I'm trying my hardest for you." And that's the Yukimura we love. We love Yukimura because that he's 45 now. He's been doing this for so long, but he's putting in so much effort. But I hope he gets to properly use Cordelia. And I have faith. I always say in Yukimura we trust. But yeah. So she is trans, but I've heard people say there's been controversy. I haven't read enough on it, so I guess I don't want to like say something that I regret. Anyway, okay, Bjorn. If there's a character aesthetic I like more, it is Bjorn's. He's got the cool helmet, the Norman helmet with the Norman nose piece. He's got like the beard. He's called Bear. His name literally translates to bear, and he's got one of the like I actually liked his death scene way more than Askeladd's. That whole scene was fantastic. You go from Bjorn's death to Askeladd fighting Thorfinn to Askeladd's backstory, bang bang bang, just knocks it out of the park. It's so good. And I always kind of like Bjorn, particularly when how he's introduced in the anime, like when he's killing the dude. Like that's the first time you see him, and they do like the cool little like shoulder, like, what is it, the forearm like hit. Like I don't know. I guess that's what Vikings did back in the day. I've never done that with anybody in my life, but maybe I should adopt it. So Bjorn B tier. The reason why he's B tier and not quite A tier, I think there's actually a retcon in his motivation, and I'm not sure if I like trust Yukimura to like have planned it out that far ahead, particularly because it's early on. But in the Battle of London Bridge, Bjorn says something along the lines like, "I'm only here because I just want to fight." Like he's like, "Oh, I'm typical Viking muscle brain, effectively, just gonna want to go kill people." And so like that kind of the best part of him kind of gets put into question. I have to read that more, but I don't think that would stop him from getting A tier. Man, he's also got the mushrooms. Oh, you gotta love the mushrooms. No one else uses them, but Bjorn, dang, he's gonna be eating some mushrooms. Yeah, I think that's it for Bjorn. All right, so here's the most controversial one. It's in the thumbnail. Canute in C tier, and I bring to you, no, Canute is not in C tier. I was thinking about it last night. I was like, dang, I'm not sure where I'm going to put Canute. But the more you think about Canute, I'm just like, yeah, I like him more. I'm not necessarily like buddy with Canute. I'm not like cooking Canute. If we could get more of that, I like that. That was a great scene. I love that one. But generally, he's kind of, I think it's the kind of almost like edgy atheist vibe I got from him. Which kind of put me off of him. I was a bit of an eye roller. But then thematically how that works is great, because he's like, hang on, God, if you're going to abandon us here, I'm going to come back. I'm going to create heaven on earth, because you're not going to allow us to come up into heaven. You've made this awful. So Canute, kind of agree. So yeah, man, there's quite a bit of a delay on this stream. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so Canute, the thing is though, as he comes in later on, I actually like Canute as he goes on. Not because he kind of, I mean, he steals the guy's land, it's kind of nice, but the scene in front of the sea is fantastic. Him, like, you're like, oh, please, Thorfinn, get to Canute. He can save you. He can do something. Like, your buddy, I know you, like, struck him, but come on, you guys had soup together back in England. Like, come on, get to him, Thorfinn. And, yeah, so... And then there's also a great scene during the Baltic Sea War arc where Canute's talking to Wolf, and like the subtext to that scene is fantastic. It's lovely as well. Also, Canute, great design. Like, I love how he's training and he actually gets good at fighting. It's small things like that, but he just hasn't been used that much. In the most recent chapter, he's been called back to, and like Thorfinn's taking shots at Canute when he's not there. So there's that good rivalry, and there's the thematic difference between Thorfinn and Canute, and we'll see how Yukimura resolves it. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be currently Team Thorfinn camp, but yeah. So, oh, Mr. R, as Carl says, but Raichi is here. Thank you for turning up. So Vinland Saga is, I mean, it's my favorite. I think it's better than Berserk and Vagabond. Vinland Saga, 10 out of 10. Berserk, 7 out of 10. Vagabond, I have no clue what to think about it. I haven't got to the end or where it's coming up to, and I mean, I have all the books back here, but I got a little bored. I'll be honest. Art is fantastic in all of them. It's bloody amazing in all of them. But anyway, Canute, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. Definitely a B tier. Not that A tier character status, but you gotta respect it. Do like myself some Canute. Just hasn't had the charm that gets me in the emotions. All right, Ina's an A tier. Now, I'm more sad that Ina hasn't been used more. Baltic Sea or Ina, like, and this is the war in the Baltic chapters. Ina was not used very like a lot, and I hope I pray to Yukimura God, to Yukimura himself every night that Ina gets more, because his little brotherhood with Thorfinn and Farmland Dark is fantastic. It is so good. It is, yeah, Berserker 7. Yeah, like, I like there's so much of it that I think I just read it too fast. I've got the first 13 volumes in my cupboard here, which I'm borrowing from a friend, which I need to reread. Anyway, another thing. I'm gonna try and reread the part of the Moscus arc when I make my Willowbolt video, so I can make comparisons in like because I think Moscus like whatever the big priest is called when they go to I forget all the berserk stuff, but the priest that's like a part of the cult. I want to kind of compare them, just kind of see like what I like of the two different versions of like a priest character. Anyway, Ina, let's get back to our farmer boy. Ina, love the character. Like he also, I like his comedy, and he's gotten incredibly stoic as of late. And I hope that boy Ina, that kind of kiddie Ina, comes back where he's like praying to the gods for the for the rain to come. That's hilarious, and it's just so wholesome, and you love it. But also, I like how it's similar to Azir and Halfdan's wife, how he's able to call out Thorfinn when aren't they, have that scene after they've met Hild for the first time. He calls him out and says, "Hey, Thorfinn, what are you doing, bro? You just gave up on me. Did you give up on me?" And like Thorfinn, like they have a little argument, but it shows that their chemistry is still there. They're still brothers, and they're still working together in this. And Ina's not afraid to call Thorfinn out, because the biggest misconception of Vinland Saga at the moment is people like, Thorfinn after Farmland Dark, his character development's done. He's not going to grow anymore. Couldn't disagree more. I think Thorfinn has a lot of room to grow still, and I want Ina to be used to contrast that as they grow together, because that's where it's best. That's where it's best. Let's just hope that Ina gets a bit more representation. Gotta love the farmer boy. Also, he kept the goatee. Unlike Thorfinn, actually, Canute. I just realized Canute also has a beard now. Does that make him mate it? No, not quite. But we're getting there. This guy, is he one of the farm hands on the Farmland Dark? Yeah. Okay, this guy, I'd actually look him up. Bowie, man. He appears, I'm pretty sure, in one chapter, in chapter 48, where he's like, it's just after the sniper has shot Canute, and he's like one of the guards for King Sven. This guy's called Drott. I love his design. Actually, I'm gonna put him in detail. Kind of a bit spicy. He's a small character only there. He's just musclehead Viking, but that scene where he just punches Thorfinn, fantastic. Love the scar, love the eye patch. Not much more to say really. This guy, gonna put him in a. I don't know who he is. He is Is he yeah. Don't know. Then we got Ear. Ear's a D tier. First of all, I like. It's weird. People do complain about Yumi in the Baltic Sea arc, but it also comes out of nowhere, and we just have to go along with it. It is just like, yeah, dude, I can hear, like, I can calculate the amount of people, how far they are away, roughly, like, all these things. Incredibly strong ability, and he's used very well as a plot device for the whole thing. It'd be such a twist as Ina killed the natives or was killed by the natives, caused the expedition. It didn't go well at all. Yeah. So, Ina, honestly, actually, I didn't even think about this. Ina could be very easily not one of the characters dead by the end of the series. I hope they push him further before they do it, because if he dies out of the blue, and we're just like, we're meant to carry that emotional weight all the way from Farmland. Oh, not so sure about that, Yukimura. Yeah, like he could totally die, and that would really, That would be sad times. Feels bad. Anyway, Ear is super strong. I love how like I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he's like ping with Bjorn and Asgard. I feel like he's actually kind of like not third in command, but he's a bit more buddy buddy with the two. You get a few scenes with him. I also like his death scene when they're playing football with his head or whatever. That's pretty like gruesome, but like yeah, that's a cool scene. This dude that's part of Vang VAGN. I don't know how to say that name. Crew. He can go in here. Okay, so if anybody can tell me who this character is, I won't give you any money, but I'd be very surprised. Let's see if this actually carries up. No, it looks like it's way. I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna wait for someone to respond. If you know who that character is, because Yukimura loves to draw his female characters, side characters, very similar. I mean, takes Hilda without the scar, and she looks very similar to Ilva. I talked about this in one of my videos. Like, all the slave girls look the same. Like, if you compare this girl to Hat here, which is Sigurd's wife, look the same. Even compared to Helga here, I know they're all Scandinavian, but no Scandinavians just have blonde hair and have the same eyes. Anyway, I'm not seeing anything in chat. I don't think so. Anybody know? Okay. Well, okay, I'm just going to continue on. This is Knut's sister, and she appears in like one scene, or like maybe like a few scenes, and he just gave her a super generic design. Why are you doing Knut's sister like that? I mean, I guess she would look like Knut, to be fair, when Knut is, looks like a girl. Ha ha, looks like a woman. Yeah. But, yeah, anyway. I mean, she's fun in the scene she is. Actually, she is E-tier. Do we put her in E-tier? I feel like, no, she's not worth, like, I'm not disappointed in her enough by E-tier, but okay, I'll put it in D-tier, why not? Because actually, the few things that she's in, like, her, like, chemistry, like, she's worried for Canoe, and there's, like, a few times where you're like, oh, that's sweet. Yeah, there is quite a delay. Maybe the girl at the beginning of the Baltic Sea War. I can't think of that one. Yeah, there's quite a bit of delay. Sad times. Anyway, okay, this is he's like an actual historical figure, Esthroat the Second or something like that. He's the king of England that Canute just walks in on over. I think, or maybe that's anyway. He's the dude with just the extra land. Not much to say. And here, if you've seen any of my posts, I don't think I've talked about a character more publicly than Hild. And, we know where she's going. We know she's going in S tier. Now, the tiers aren't necessarily ordered. S tier, any character in S tier can be my favorite on any given day. I will say that right now. Now, Hild, I understand why people may not like her as much. She kind of says very similar things again and again. She beat Thorfinn in a fight that make us all feel bad. Woman beating a girl in a fight? No, I cannot have that. What else? She only really talks about Thorfinn or to Thorfinn. Her relationship is only, feels really just with Thorfinn. So it's kind of a bit, I understand why people not feeling it as much. But the hunted and hunted chapters are genuinely some of my favorite chapters. If Askeladd's final scene was meant to make me tense, it did not work. Hild, though, that scene was so great because you remember back to chapter 1 where they say, holy crap, crossbows are OP. We need to wait for all of them to fire their shots before we get in there. And this is chapter 1 when they're trying to invade that French town. And then this woman just turns up and she, aces a bear. And then she's like, oh, you're Thorfinn? And you have that that silence around it. And it's just so the tension is so good. And then she whips out the double when you put her before Askeladd, well, never mind. It's any character on any day. Hild will be one of the best characters by the end of the series. I'm pretty confident. Just because she seems to be getting quite a bit of focus by Yukimura at the moment, I wouldn't be worried about her development. I think also because we have like 20-page chapters every single month, which is quite slow. People do kind of get rubbed by Hild the wrong way, but honestly, no one's been having problems with Hild ever since we've like landed. You know, ever since we started sailing, ever since that conversation with Carly about gravity, people were like, ah, okay, she's coming around. I like it. And what I want with Hild, I want there to be, okay, this is a little prediction. I think there's going to be a similar scene that's reflective of Balder, Thorfinn, and Floki in Hild, Carly, and Thorfinn. So Thorfinn's Floki. Thorfinn may have killed, and yeah. So the only way to get it is Thorfinn. If Thorfinn actually kills someone, whether it be accidentally or not, Hild goes absolutely crazy, and then there's Carly at the bottom, like kind of like there, and then Hild doesn't go through with it. Now my theory is also that Hild in all of those situations would have never killed Thorfinn. I don't think she has it in her to kill, but that's another interesting thing there is like, unlike Thorfinn, she's not too far gone. She hasn't actually killed someone, and for Vinland Saga, thematically, that's quite important. So yeah. Yeah. Hild's design also, I mean, I love the character designs of Vinland Saga, but Hild, she's got the bandana, she's got the scar, she's got the dramatic lighting in so many great panels in the Hunted and Hunted chapters, like Halfdan or even Thor's or Thorkel. And Yukimura is so good at that art style, and I love it to bits. I was talking a lot about Carly before. Carly's an easy B tier. He was probably D tier if you asked me 6 months ago, but recently, he's just become adorable, and I love how Yukimura uses him to kind of bring more out of other characters around him, whether it's Hild, whether it's Gudrid, whether it's Thorfinn, and it's just nice to see how, as an item, as a character, he's used as an object for people to play around, but he's also becoming a character himself. You know, best boy Carly. How do you not like him? He figured out gravity at 4 years old. You know, yeah, exactly. Dude, giving Newton a run for his money 600 years early. Yeah, and like, I hope Carly is used better because, you know, we all care about Carly. And great, like, yeah, Carly's great. You know what would be really cool? Everybody dies. Hild and Carly goes off in the wilderness. Maybe Gudrid as well. You know, and they're just camping out, and you have old man Carly taking care of Gudrid and Hild as they're in their old age. You know, grown up Carly. I don't know. That's like some epilogue stuff. That'd be kind of cool. You know, that's perfectly possible at the end. You know, like, some people do try and sail back to Iceland, and some people just go further in mainland or something like that. Newton on the suicide watch. Yes, he is. He is. Helga. All right, Helga. Basic blonde design number 55. No, her old design is clapping. I love older characters. I love like how like he shows the age progression. Is really cool. Helga though, she's not quite E tier, but she's in D tier, and I will go into a conversation why more. But it's all hinged on Ilva. It's all hinged on the Ilva. Yeah. Hat. This is Sigurd's wife. Man, D tier is bloated at the moment. We're gonna change that. Hat's gonna be the first C tier in a while. Unlike the previous two, I mean, she's quite similar. But like, I should really reread those chapters. I haven't so I've reread Vinland Saga twice, and like multiple times, just finding little bits and bobs inside the actual volumes. But the volumes end at chapter 160. So Hat is like, her major part isn't. I haven't really reread that much, but you know, her thing with Sigurd is really sweet, and I think it is a bit cathartic to actually see a little bit of romance, because we do get a little cucked by the lack of Thorfinn and Gudrid stuff, because of they don't go to bloody Constantinople. Why? Anyway, we shall get to that. I understand why. But yeah, so Hat, fun times. She also got cool hair. She's got like the curly whirly fries going on. I don't know. It's like, you know, I don't know. She's making some DNA or something. Yeah. All right, Garm. Garm is a character I have very little to say on, but he's still going to be a B tier, without a doubt. Garm is B tier. And none of these tiers are really ordered. I think, yeah. Garm serves his purpose well as just complete maniac, as a complete just force of nature that you just can't reason with and can't stop with. But he still maintains to be actually quite fun. He does lighten up the series, and I guess his best point for me to talk about Baltic Sea Arc. Baltic Sea Arc is, definitely probably the most controversial arc, and this is the Seawall chapters. I think the rest of the Eastern Expedition arc as a total is pretty good. It is actually really good. But Garm is the epitome of this kind of like making everything really juvenile and undercutting everything in the Baltic Sea arc that's been built up before. And I think that's really what people feel bad about. Like they feel like, man, Vinland Saga is not being very serious anymore. And yeah, that's true. And I think that's kind of the point. That's definitely what Yukimura is going for thematically. He's taking the Garm's pretty one note. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree, but I think there is a little bit more to unpack there. But yeah, I don't think he's going to get much more. I think just thematically and how he represents the Baltic Sea arc, I quite like that. Because so you've taken Floki. The Jormungandr Viking, when they're introduced, they are so badass, so menacing, so scary. And I was actually initially quite annoyed by how pathetic they seemed. Like you have two guards on the outside of like Floki, not Baldur's, house or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I hope someone doesn't come to attack us." And then Thorfinn comes out of the blue and attacks them. You're just like, I'm not sure about that humor, Yukimura. They sound like idiots. But even before that, like when Thorfinn has this amazing like 1v10 in like chapter 129, I think, when he's like fighting, like he just fights loads of people with the help of Hild, and he just basically he just shows them to be complete frauds basically, because they're first like, oh yeah, we have honor. They don't have any honor. They just want to kill him. They just do what they want. And so even the best fighters in the world, the most honorable, the ones that are idealized the most, are complete frauds and shouldn't be respected at all. And I think that's a key thing with Baltic Sea War. That's why there's so much humor in there. There's like don't take this seriously because it's all really stupid. War sucks and war is bad. And I think the issue is that Yukimura just kind of twists that screw a little too tight for a lot of people. And then they kind of feel like, Thorkel feels like he's even dumber than he was before. The Thorkel has a great scene with Wolf where like Thorkel just reminds us that, yeah, I know, like, I just love war, dude. Like, you can't stop me. And he grabs him by the face and like this the Gandalf side B choke. Yeah, yeah. So I think Garm in general, like he has one of the best scenes, probably my favorite scene, maybe not my favorite scene, but one of the best scenes with Thorfinn in the arc where it is on the rooftop and Thorfinn adopts both things from his background from both Thor's and Askeladd to defeat Garm, and then and Garm's kind of crafty, he can't be contained. I like how he like turns up with Vang on the end of his stick, and you're like, okay, Thorfinn's gonna get away, and then he does, very anime, very very typical manga, where he just kind of turns up and he's like, why are you trying to run away from me? And you're like, holy crap, this guy's faster than Thorfinn. He is just legit running faster than Thorfinn, and that's like the scariest thing, because Thorfinn has always been the fastest, without a doubt, when it comes to just running speed. I feel like maybe others. But I feel like Thorfinn would beat most people in a foot race, and then Garm just comes out and just absolutely annihilates him. You're just like, holy, it is put this like sinking feeling in your stomach. Garm also has like, he's crafty when he gets the girl to go up to say, I like, are you part of Thorfinn's crew? And then has that scene with Bug Eyes, and yeah, so he is quite menacing, and he's intimidating, and so for that he serves his role very well. Man, I said at the beginning of this, I don't have much to talk about with the Garm, but I do. Now, just because I understand now, having Garm wield a spear in the Baltic Sea was very nice for Thorfinn, since he was dealing with spears. He will be dealing with spears with the natives. Now that's okay, that's an interesting thing. I'm not sure how that will exactly tie in, but that would be interesting. I think talking about Garm's spear a little bit, I do love how Yukimura does incorporate a lot of just the martial arts of actual fighting, how spears have a massive range, but then he also highlights further, well, Garm, he's just taking even more, because he's able to stick his arm out and get even more range, because he doesn't have to use two hands, because he's like that strong, but then he can also dual wield it. So like he basically creates his character that it's really hard to he's really hard to stop. He battles Thorkel to a standstill, Even though I think he kind of admits that he thinks Thorkel keeps him alive, because he wants to fight him again. But we'll get to Thorkel when we get to Thorkel. But yeah, man, I talked a lot about Garm here. Floki, our first E tier. Now, I get why, as I said before, I get the point of Baltic Sea Walk, but that will not stop me from being disappointed with how Floki turned out, just to be so pathetic. I know that's the point. I know the highest general, in the Jorm's Vikings, the Jorm's Vikings leader, he's super powerful, but Floki at the beginning is shown to be so menacing, and then he is just continually undercut. And this is even before the Baltic Sea War arc turns her up. And I think there is some enjoyment in that initially, particularly in Askeladd's scene. He has the amazing kneel before your king as he's just taking on Floki, and you're just like, Floki, you idiot, you can't stop Askeladd. He's just going on a rampage. Get out of here. That's like that. That's like the feeling that you want to get from Floki. But later on, it becomes so pathetic, and there's like, in my mind, initially I was like, he must care about Boulder, right? But maybe I'm wrong. Which take are you talking about? Well, never mind. I'm too far ahead. But he is like he just doesn't seem to care about Boulder at all. Like he doesn't care about fishing, or at least he's so preoccupied. And I wish they maybe played into that more. That he actually does care about Boulder a lot, and he's trying to secure his future, not just trying to secure Floki's own future because he can't be leader anymore. Because that's really what it seems like. And then you can have, because then it seems like, why Boulder? Why? I know you care about him because he's your grandfather, but like. But yeah, Floki's just weirdly, like, he's one of the characters that just had, it feels like very little depth to him. He's just a conniving, scheming politician. And yeah, I love his design though. I love the beard, I love the square, I love it all. But I just found him quite disappointing in, it's pretty great that Floki got a happy ending despite what he did. Yeah, I like that. I just kind of wish we got a little bit more. And so that's why he's an E tier for me. A little disappointing. I like the fishing. You got to have fishing. Boulder loves fishing. It's sweet. But I just wish there was a little bit more depth to him. All right. Next, hot take. Fox. Oh, love Fox. He's C tier easily. It's not that hot. But Fox, you probably don't remember him, but he's like snakes. He's probably one of the snake's guards, so he's called Fox. Snake is called Snake. You got Badger, you got Wild Dog, you got Rat, you got Snake. I already said Snake. You got a load of them. Anyway, Fox, I love. He's a guy who's actually chopped off the top part of Thorfinn. I love how he's introduced. He's a bit of a menacing character. Floki take is good. Yes. Okay. There we go. I get the never mind silver approval. I know I'm doing something right. Yeah. So what was I? Oh yeah. Fox, I just like his character in general. He's that character where you like, he's that playground bully at the beginning, and then you kind of get, get him boys, like when he's kind of destroyed at the end, and you actually kind of feel bad for him because all his friends, his family, effectively, his brotherhood has been just dashed completely. He's he's one of those small characters that goes over a little arc in the background of things, and it's just nice to enjoy. One of those kind of things on top. Garda. It's hard to talk about Garda because so much of his character is intertwined with Arnheid, but I'm going to put him next to Arnheid as he should be. But Arneid's ahead, definitely. Garda, I love how the Farmland arc is framed, is so fantastic. And Garda is just another one of those wrenches where you're just like, everything is going beautifully. The boys, they're going to farm, they're going to get out, they're going to be free, then they're going to go sail to Vinland because that's how it's going to go. Maybe even Einar gets a girl at the end. But Garda breaks out. He starts the chain of everything going downhill. Actually, Thorgil also starts that chain. We'll get to Thorgil. And it's just, and then he's got so many impactful scenes, and he's actually really strong. He's like an amazing fighter. And so he is just another wrench in this overall massive turning machine as the Farmland arc. And it's just another piece, and he just works so well. And his death with Arnie, you can't help but feel sorry for the lad. He's just nuts. He's crazy. When he strangles Snake, that was a fantastic scene. He comes out and he does the classic Yukimura style of blackening out the face and making the eyes pure white. He's done it with Thorfinn. I'm pretty sure he's done it with loads of other characters at some point. He just comes and looks like a monster. He did it with Thorgil as well. He made the eyes white. Just pure rage. And you're like, holy crap, he just took out Snake, and this like it's just like, damn, Garda and B tier. I mean, he is kind of like a C tier character. He's very intertwined with Arnheid and how much I like him. Like on his own, he is kind of C tier, but I'm going to put him in B tier for now. This dude, I think actually Askeladd refers to him as uncle. I don't think he's his actual uncle. Maybe he is. Maybe he is Askeladd's uncle. But he's the rich dude with all the slaves. As I talked before with Askeladd, he's the guy that Askeladd gets to say the great line, one of my favorite lines, and it's used twice. I think I prefer when Kenny uses it, but everybody's a slave to something. Yeah, there's nothing more to talk about him. This guy as well. Dan, there's so many just side characters that you're like, man, I kind of wish I knew a little bit more about you, but that's what kind of gives Vinland Saga a world its flavor. This dude here is one of the Romans in Wales that helps Askeladd get to cross. He doesn't have much more than that, but it does give the sense that the world has history to it, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It just makes the world feel bigger, and I like that a lot. All right, Gudrid. Let me take a sip. If there's a character that has got hurt more than any other character in terms of, Yukimura not doing his due, it is Gudrid. I think Gudrid, man, they needed that Constantinople arc where they go and, develop that romance with Thorfinn, because I hope he does more with that. He has set up stuff like she's got this inferiority complex, that she feels like I'm not actually that useful, and I hope he kind of pushes more into that, because Gudrid gets so much great focus, fantastic focus during the Baltic Sea arc, and then the finale of that arc just kind of peters out. She has Gudrid was wasted potential. Yeah, I'd say she has wasted potential, but I don't think she's completely lost because of it, because she still has strong enough. I mean, so she turns up initially, barrel queen, it's foreshadowed from the beginning. Thorfinn loves barrels, and guess who else loves barrels? Gudrid. And Thorfinn, because he's a barrel king, he knows the barrel tactics. He's gonna spot her. Then she almost gets married to Sigurd, and then somehow that knife ends up in his leg. That's like, it's weirdly meta, because like I was so confused. Like, how did that knife end up in his leg? And that's the point. It's one of the weirdest panels in Vinland Saga. It's one of those things. Anyway, she just continues on, keeps on simping for Thorfinn. The issue is that I want to see why Thorfinn actually would marry her. That's the thing. Like Thorfinn has been so focused on Vinland, he hasn't had time to be like, oh yeah, maybe I actually like Gudrid. And then they end up together and you're like, oh, why is this here? But she has a fantastic confession scene. She punches Thorkel. It is so sweet, so cute. I can't help but put her in A tier. You guys know I love the Baltic Sea War characters. I love the later characters. But I will also agree that I am very disappointed. She would be S tier easily if she had the Constantinople arc. But dang, Gudrid is fun. I hope she gets more. Wish her best for the Vinland Saga arc. So so I think a bit of clarification on the Mediterranean arc. I think there's two reasons why it didn't happen. First of all, Yukimura actually I think said in a tweet once that because of I think it was specifically the political waveringness. What is it? When it's basically it's like teetering, like basically unbalanced. I forget the word. Instability. That's the word. Because of the instability, I think his editor or something like that told him. I wish I had the tweet. It was a while ago, but basically he said, sadly, I couldn't go because of the state of at least Turkey is in or something like that. I'm not sure. He couldn't go and do research, and he couldn't take out time to go and do research because he would have had 3 weeks to do it effectively. Maybe it would have taken a hiatus for a little bit. But Yukimura is really thorough with his research. He cares a lot about that stuff. So I understand that if he didn't think he could do the proper research for the arc, he didn't do it because of that. I think the second reason is, as I said before, Yukimura has been doing this for a long time. He's 45 years old now. He's got 3 kids. He already takes his time enough, but 20 pages of manga a month is still brutally tough. Who's the guy that does One Punch Man? I don't know how that guy does it. I don't know. I didn't even know, Isayama, 40 pages a month is insane. So, I understand that. So I think possibly Yukimura may try and do it later. That'd be the best thing if he actually worked together later. But I think there's a few reasons why I think he wanted to do it, but I don't think he could. Maybe because he was kind of getting there, and he's like, oh, I really want to. Oh yeah, no. So Yukimura, one of the things is after he finished his first manga ever, he then took like 9 months out, loads his like tons of money. It was a massive gamble, massive risk to go to Canada, to go to Iceland, and go to Europe in general to research basic Viking stuff. So like, and he did that for like maybe not 9 months, but he did it for like quite a significant portion of time, and that's how much he just invested into Vinland Saga as a manga. Like he had Planetettes before that, but which is somewhat successful as an anime adaptation. But it's still a gamble. I think in one of the volumes he kind of talks about that and how it's um, like it's kind of hard. But yeah, Yukimura is dedicated to historical accuracy, and I love that about it. Yeah, so yeah, Yukimura does tweet a few things. There's a few things on the Vinland Saga Discord. Like someone has like a massive back catalog of like tons of his tweets. So it'd be nice to actually get those up to confirm. But yeah, so I think the dude himself, like I think he also said in an interview before the release of the anime that he was his favorite arc, the arc that like is Vinland. He wants to write the Vinland arc. That's what he's most excited about. And so he may have just been like, I'm not. This is like maybe people may be getting a bit bored. Like, yeah, it could be so many factors into why he didn't. He ended up having the time skip in the end. So very understandable. I don't mind that. I mean, I wish we could have got more. Would have loved to see some Gudrid relationship and stuff. Maybe he comes back to it. And if he comes back to it, I like after the whole thing's done, that'd be really nice. Because then you can kind of get. I think Hild and Leaf could have a really good like kind of synergy as characters. Aina like being best bro towards Thorfinn. Trying to help him out because Aina's been in love before. He can kind of teach Thorfinn. And there's a great like where Thorfinn. I think Thorfinn. What is love? What is love? Yukimura can bring that theme back up as again, like when Thorfinn is trying to figure out what is this? How do I learn how to actually love someone, like romantically? I don't know how to do that because I've just been stumped this whole time, and that could be a great arc for Thorfinn. And so it's just one of those things where you're just like, the more you think about it, and the more potential there's there, you're like, oh, it sucks, but Yukimura, put respect on that, so that's okay. Anyway, Gudrid, yeah, love her to bits. Wish she got a little bit more, but despite that, she's still A tier. This is Ragnar's brother. He's wily. He looks like Waluigi. I like the design, but he's going in NA. I don't care enough about him. But yeah, let's take another sip. I went for a little bit of rant. 6 concurrent viewers and 8 likes. This is fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for turning up. I really appreciate that. Yes, and thank you guys for talking in chat and stuff. I hope it's been interesting. This is like the one series I actually have quite a bit to say about. So yeah, Halfdan. I mentioned before I love the art style of the dramatic lighting of just like big scary flaming but like dramatic where they're all like shaded out in their face, and Halfdan has that so much and it's done so well. He's also got the wrinkles, he's got those big cheekbones, he's super Yukimura design style. I can't even speak at the moment, but only thing I actually dislike about him is at the end where he is kind of played off as a bit more of a joke. I like it when his wife takes a mick out of him and takes him down a few notches, but it felt like he was scheming. He was playing Thorfinn really well. He was like, do you want to be my son, right? And then he just kind of reverts and is like, oh, this child is going to be a genius. And so Halfdan, kind of like Floki, has become a little bit more pathetic as the story has gone on. He's introduced as a menace. He doesn't care about Thors. He's not scared of Thors. He's a politician. He knows how to weave himself around. Like he's got massive balls and he's got the cool chain weapon as well. He's one of those side characters that I'm glad we got more on. I think he's is he C tier? Yeah, he's C tier. He's C tier. Yeah, I need to keep B tier a little bit down. We need to fill up C tier a little bit. But yeah, I like Halfdan a little bit. It's just that last scene that way he's I didn't find it funny. Particularly the humor can be hit or miss in Vinland Saga. So yeah. Now I forgot to talk about Gudrid, but Gudrid is the funniest character. Is the funniest character without a doubt in this whole entire series. You can remember with the great panel of her like, oh, I'm gonna kill Boulder, watch out, and then he like covers the head of the ladle with a text bubble. Oh, it's one of those things that like it works so well for me. And while I'm reading, I'm just like, I I can't believe I'm reading. I can't believe I'm laughing at this. This is so stupid. I hate it. This is like making everything a joke, but it was so funny that it made me laugh anyway. She also managed to make me laugh at a fart joke, unlike a certain other character called. I think he's just called Fatty. Though you know shouldn't fat shame, but man's called Fatty. That's what his friends call him. So I can't remember his actual name, so I kind of feel bad now. But yeah, so Gudrun's humor peaked here. That's another reason why she's A tier. I think this is Knut's brother, NA. He dies. He's not used very much. Though this shot is cool. Now, if I'm not sure who this is. If this is Moles, it's going in D tier. I like just like Moles' design, but it doesn't look like Moles. Moles is one of Leaf's Leaf's salesman with salesman, not sale. What sailors? Salesman. So he's called yeah, he's called yeah, anyway, I just like his design. He's quite cynical. He's like, Leaf, you shouldn't be going on the master trip, you Dumbo. But then Leaf just sends him off to Greenland while they go to Constantinople. Jabbereth or Jabeth. I'm pretty NA about him. Definitely the wackiest design in all of Vinland Saga. Like it's clear that Yukimura hadn't quite found his style yet, and was going for a bit more exaggerated character proportions. I think he was also maybe taking a little bit more after Vicky the Viking, because there is references to Vicky the Viking in the early parts. So maybe this is a bit more. I haven't actually seen the character designs of Vicky too much, but it's that quite cartoony style. All right. He's got weird teeth. He's got weird teeth. I don't know who you're referring to. Is this Jabeth, or who did I put before? Was it Halfdan or this guy? Yeah. Anyway, Kettle. Do I go for it? Javeth. Yeah. Yeah, he definitely does. He's just an odd character design in general. Jabeth. Kettle. Where are you going, Kettle? We are putting him in A tier. Okay, he may be B tier, but I'm putting him in A tier. And he is... Oh... Okay, man, I love Kettle's character. And people hate him for good reason, because you're meant to hate him. But I can't help but feel sorry for him. He's like if Floki had that nuance to him. So when you come up, you're like, dang, I want Einar and like Thorfinn. I love how pathetic he is. Yes, exactly. So he's incredibly pathetic, incredibly weak. But at the beginning, he's kind of, you're like, oh man, okay, this is a good slave owner. I know that's like, but it's relative to the time. Like he's actually quite nice. And you kind of like, there's almost a sense of security there. And he lends actually, when Kettle's going downhill, the farmland arc is going down here. He is a perfect representation of his arc, is a perfect representation of how my feelings were generally through it. And you like when farmland arc, when he's in control, when you feel like, Kettle's, he's a nice guy, he may be a little bit wily and be like, yeah, you work hard for me, the slaves that work harder, then you can get a spot on the farm, or you can get free after 3 years. I know you're a slave, but he knows how to kind of manipulate people. But the thing is that the dude genuinely does have a heart. When he's in front of those kids, the only reason why he like hits them or like takes it, beats them is because Thorgil is there pushing him to do so. Like he does actually have a heart. Like he's not a monster. He's just very weak-willed. And so you kind of see as soon as Thorgil turns up the scene and Kettle's not the one in complete like control, you kind of feel that veil of Kettle just slowly fall away piece by piece, and that's really representative of the farmland arc in general. And also, he's got one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in Vinland Saga where he takes out an Arnid. You just have like that is so viscerally like drawn by Yukimura. Like that's like he's stabbing her in the side. Like that panel is so good, and he's just going completely crazy. And generally, at the end of the day, Kettle is very weak-willed. He's probably very insecure about himself. That's why he probably tries to procure so much wealth because Sverkel, his father, like he has these disagreements and he wants to prove himself to him. It's another one of those great father-son dynamics. I need to talk about the father-son dynamics, but Kettle just has a lot going on with him that I respect a lot, and I love the emotions he made me feel. So, yeah, I kind of felt he had to hit the children because the whole obligatory vengeance thing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, like, Kettle from the beginning, you do sense something's kind of off him. Like, this guy is smiling too wide. He looks like something's going on. Like, he feels a little fake. And, yeah, Kettle has a lot of depth to him. You need to put a little bit of respect on Kettle. Man, Kettle above Canute, who would have thunk it? And Arnid, that's just how it has to go. This is how it has to go. I could put him here with his brother, but I honestly do not care about this guy. So, no. Wagner. Okay, another thing with the Baltic Sea arc, here you have the four horsemen, or what are the four big boys, head honchos of the Jorm's Viking. You have Thor's, you have Floki, you have Thorkel, and then this final dude turns up and you're like, oh my word, he's gonna be so badass. And he turns up, he has this massive beard, and instantly Yukimura undercuts him with these massive streaming tears, and then he just seems like, okay, this guy's just another idiot warlord, warrior, chief, like basically general for an army. He's just another kind of like idiot, but he hasn't got any of the personality. He's got nothing, and then he gets killed off screen. So if something here doesn't sum up the themes of this guy like sums up the theme so well for what Yukimura was trying to do with the Baltic Sea Walk, and the more you kind of realize that, you're like, yeah, Wagner, like, you kind of initially think he's scary, you think he's like, oh my word, yeah, like he's a big player in this, and he is, but guess what? The narrative does not care about him, because war's stupid, all these things are just getting undercut in there. I don't say how seriously you take them. I probably use that wrong, because Yukimura wants you to take war very seriously, but he just wants you to see how fruitless and frivolous and pointless it is, and how all these, and this guy's like a great warrior. Anyway, I actually don't care about him because there's not enough time to care about him. Yeah. Okay. Willowbold. S tier. You guys bet Willowbold. Okay, if there's any character, I say this slightly for the memes, but dang, do I not love... Willowbold has made every other Christian character in every other piece of fiction worse because of his existence. That's how good Willowbold is. And I understand this is going to be a very, very personal take. Most people are like, Willowbold, C tier, B tier. He's a cool side character. He does a lot of deep thinking. He does a lot of theming. But dang, how do I talk about this? I'm going to make a whole video on Willowbold. It's coming out. You bet it is. But give you a little bit of backstory on myself. Despite being British, which is very uncommon, I grew up in a Christian family that went to church every single week. Very uncommon in England. I was the only person in my entire year of 250 kids at high school that went to church regularly. And so seeing a character that I personally identify and can see myself in so much for the first time, being Willowbold, that leaves a mark on me. That really leaves a mark on me personally. And so that's why, because so much of the time, I think how I've grown up in the UK is maybe like, I think it's, so the weekly attendance at church is around about 200,000 people out of 60 million. So it's about, less than 1%, 0.6% of the population go to church regularly. And so, I remember when I was in class and like, they'd ask something about the Bible. I'd be the only kid that knew anything. And it just felt really weird because I'm not that academically gifted, definitely at the time. And so I feel like I just like I couldn't. I just didn't feel like, oh wait, yes. I don't know what to say. Like I just felt not isolated. People, I never got bullied because I was a Christian. No one ever like picked on me or anything like that. I haven't suffered at all because I'm Christian. There's tons of other Christians, tons of other people suffering for who they are, much more than I have. I'm not saying that at all. But lots of the time when you come onto the internet and you're saying here, you're seeing like when I grew up on the internet, the big boys were the four horsemen. You know, like you got your Christopher Hitchens, Dan Dennett, Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, and they're the smart ones. And I just kind of, I think internally, I ingrained in myself that like over time, I was like, dang, yeah, I guess Christians are stupid. I guess I am stupid. And then you kind of see loads of characters, and you see Christian media as well. When I was 14 and I watched God's Not Dead, I sat there and I was like, this feels like there should be MLG music playing in the background because of all like the air horns when it's like, oh yeah, well, if you hate God so much, how can you hate God so much if he doesn't exist? Do 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 do. Oh, you got him, son. You get him. Get Kevin Sorbo. You know, like like yeah. So Christian media like is very isn't great either. And then you know like it's not uncommon, at least for the stuff I've watched. And maybe I just haven't had a eclectic view enough. Eclectic experience enough, but lots of time, lots of religious characters are shown as part of an establishment. You think Full Metal Alchemist, you think Attack on Titan, you think Berserk. These characters are part of an establishment, and to me, I've never felt like I'm part of an establishment when I go to church. I go to church inside like an art gallery that's like emptied out because people allow us there. You know, like so, like at least for me, faith has always been really personal, and Willowbolt is going through a very personal journey, so I identify with it. Long rant about Willowbolt over. I want to keep a little bit of the actual analysis of Willowbolt in Vinland Saga and how he used into my video, but I love how love is subtly used and how he references a lot of biblical material subtly. I don't know if Yukimura did it on purpose. It's hard to believe that a man of Japanese culture and origin, something that's not very Christian, seemed to reference so much about Christianity. So I really respected that. But yeah, anyway, what is love, baby? What is love? Going from amazing to, I shall quote our Lord and Savior, Kevin Sorbo, disappointed, going Ilva E tier. If there's a character that I'm more furious about, it is Ilva. I cannot believe how Yukimura did her this dirty. I still have not recovered till this day. It is disgraceful what happened. You saw her in the thumbnail, and Ilva is I don't get more passionate about like I almost made a video about Ilva, and then I didn't because I was like, man, I don't like talking about loads of negative stuff. I imagine there's loads of people that like Ilva, but okay, so Brandon Sanderson, in his lectures about writing, talks about this very important thing about knowing what you're promising your reader and then delivering on that promises. And to me, Ilva seems like she is set up to be this character that she ends up not at all. Early on, Ilva is a great like counter balance to Thor's idealism. And Ilva as a character is like, man, I want slaves. I want more hands. I want to do less work. Please give me less work, you know? And Thor's being based. He's like, slaves aren't the coolest thing, so, bro, you know, slaves aren't cool. But then Ilva gets exactly what she doesn't want. There's like a dramatic irony there. As her dad dies, her brother goes missing, and then her mum, is ill and sickly. So she has to do all the bloody work. And this is shown off in the amazing short little chapter 21.5. And it's fantastic as she's doing so much work, and it's just heavy on her shoulders. And you're like, man, don't you think Ilva has a little bit of resentment towards that? Don't you think that she would? And then you think about this. Okay, well, Yukimura has clearly done a lot of research with this Christian imagery. And this is where I think my fan theories have hurt Ilva for me. But Thorfinn is clearly going through what is called, like a prodigal son type story. He's going completely off the rails, and he's going to come home and eventually be welcomed back into the family. And the prodigal son is one of my favorite little parables in the Bible in general. And it's not because, the father, it's not because of the actual prodigal son, it's because of the older brother. The older brother is the coolest character because it's the one that everybody thinks they're not, but they are. Because at least, everybody's kind of like, oh, I need forgiveness, please forgive me, father. But then the old brother's like, dude, I worked on this farm for so long. Why are you here? And that's kind of very entitled feeling. And that's kind of like a great reflection of, how entitled you can get about anything, really. But also particularly about religious people and how, we can get very entitled very quickly about, look how good I am, look how morally great I am compared to you. And I think, anyway, so that's that. And I'm like, Ilva is setting up to become this very entitled, justifiably so, but very entitled character that has a big grudge. And I feel that. And then Leaf comes in, and I think this may just have been a translation thing, but he says the word, the prodigal son has returned in like chapter 99 or whatever, just before they get to see Ilva. And then in one chapter, Thorfinn kind of goes along, comes home. Great first encounter with Ilva where she just sticks her foot up in his face. Love that. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is coming along. I'm feeling this. And Thorfinn goes and sits by a dock for one panel, makes a turnaround. I'm just like, hang on, wait, this is going way too fast. Why are we going so quickly? Then he turns up in the house and you're just like, oh, Helga's here. She's like, welcome home, my son. She recognizes him, unlike Ilva. Oh, that's great. But then I'm thinking, okay, Ilva's pretending not to recognize him. She clearly does. But no, she just doesn't. She's just like that dumb, and it's just played off as a whole joke. As she punches him, you're just like, I can't believe it. I've never been so disappointed. And Ilva has never returned to form. She's just been continually used as a joke character. She does call back the joke with the punching though, and it is kind of funny how Thorfinn dodges it the second time. That's nice. I'll give Yukimura that. But you best believe that Ilva could have been a fantastic character set in like that pocket of Iceland a little bit more, but just not used at all. And I really felt like that she could have been said, she's like, yeah, she's just a joke character. She does get the nice scene with Thorfinn and cutting his hair, but then she cuts his beard. And I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a nice scene. But then you shave off the goatee, makes Thorfinn realize he likes himself without the goatee. Diabolical. This is unacceptable. Anyway, Ilva E tier. Sad times. Sad times. She could have been great. She could have been so good. But that's just how it is. Okay. Then we go Ragnar. I think that he misses like 80% of the time. Oh. It's hard to say because Vinland Saga sometimes makes me laugh so hard. Like during the Bodhi walk, sometimes you go along, there's like, oh, the best joke, actually maybe my favorite joke. My favorite joke in Vinland Saga is the one, yeah, Ragnar is pretty great. We're going to get there. Is when there's two dudes and they're aiming arrows at the dude, and one dude's like, oh, hey, this is my brother, long lost brother. Like, I'm going to send my necklace to him or my ring, and then he shoots it. He'll know it's me, and then he just shoots him in the head, and then the other dude just laughs at him. It's such a good, funny joke. But yeah, Uncle Iroh vibes. Yeah, Ragnar does have that Uncle Iroh vibes, but he's more, he's definitely much less patient than Uncle Iroh. Yeah, I'm gonna probably C tier or B tier. Dang, I love the Conehead. I love Conehead, man. He's really like his death just came out of the blue for me. I think it is kind of obvious on retrospect, but I was like, no, like Ragnar, like I can't believe like he just like I didn't know what was going on. That was just like there's a sense of shock and all there, but also Ragnar's fine. Like you just kind of like him because he's like you're like yes, another good dad. Thank goodness, like that another good dad is here. Yeah, like and it's hard just not to kind of like the guy. Though C tier does have a lot of heavy hitters. I can't believe Anne's in the same tier as Hat. I don't know if I agree with that now. Anne's great. We'll keep Ragnar in B tier. I don't have much to say about him, but yeah, I really enjoy him. Sigurd. My only issue with Sigurd is that his arc is very similar to Olmar's from the Farmland arc. But dang, doesn't he have one of the best like dialogue scenes with Gudrid? When he's talking to her, and this is when you're like, yeah, Yukimura can do some killer dialogue scenes, and then they do the time skip, and you're just like, oh. But man, Sigurd's growth is so nice, but he's so pathetic. He's funny, like it's funny to laugh at him, and then but he's also kind of badass, like with the chain. Like he's another wrench that is he A tier though? Is he A tier though? He may be B tier, but he has that great scene with Gudrid. Nah, I think I'm gonna actually make him B tier. Dang. But Sigurd is great. Just fantastic growth. A very typical arc, and I think there's another thing why people don't like Baltic Sea War as much, because lots of the characters are a lot younger in it, and so unlike the prologue or even Farmland, we're not quite investigating and seeing a history of a character being put together. We've got a lot of characters who are growing. We got Hild, who's young. We got Thorfinn, who's still growing. We've got Sigurd, who's very immature. We also got Gudrid, who's also quite immature. And then Bug Eyes, I mean, he's not really going to go on arc, but he's also kind of another immature character. So there's a lot of kind of like younger characters that don't feel quite as like, the problems are much more obvious. And I think they begin to kind of filling in that same niche that ends up, you're not feeling like it as immature of a story being told. And I think that's another reason why people didn't quite get on with Baltic Sea arc. But anyway, Sigurd's arc is probably the best in the Baltic Sea War, just because Gudrid just didn't get completed. But yeah, Sigurd's great, and then he turns back up later on. He's looking super sexy. He's cut his hair, but it's all like done back. And man, if the guy just doesn't look like an absolute king. Snake. Do I do it? C tier. Snake is C tier. Yeah. This is gonna. People love Snake, but I'm not the biggest Snake fanboy. I'm not the biggest Snake fanboy. I do enjoy Snake, but I'm not like super up in Snake's alley. So he's got a great design. He's really he reads the Bible like a good boy. I gotta respect that. Though he does read like the most basic verse in the Bible. What is it? Love your neighbor, love thy God and love thy neighbor. Come on, dude, you gotta do a bit more than that. That's like the one that's on everybody's like pin cushions, Anyway, Snake. I think that would be, if we got more stuff with Constantinople, I think, and he turned back up, which I think he definitely would. That'd be really cool. I liked it a little bit more depth with him, though he does actually have, like, man, we may be lazy bums, we may do nothing, but we are family, and I love it here. And like, he's a man who's been, you can tell that's been through a lot, but then I'm gonna reconsider. Just cause he's another one of those characters where you're like, yeah, he has history. I'd like to know a bit more about him, but he's also quite mature. He's very self-aware, and so he's a very fun character to have because of that. I find that quite engaging. But then, yeah, he just has the part where he's like snoozing. He has the great father-son dynamic with Spherical. That's such... Okay, let's get Spherical up here. I'm going to talk about him too. Spherical's definitely a B tier. Man, everybody's just funneling into B tier. This is like great stuff, great characters. But like their dynamic is like, there's so many layers to it. They're like an old married couple. There's bicker. And like the thing is, Snake has been to the top. You can tell he's been high up there. He's been... Yeah, Ivor's not here. I think I mentioned that at the beginning of the stream. He'd be in probably NA along with Cordelia, just because he hasn't had quite enough time to cook yet. If I had to place him somewhere, I'd probably maybe put him in D tier currently, just because he still feels a little one note. I think thematically how he's been used so far to kind of push up against Thorfinn is really good, but I like to see a bit more on his character's aside to show that he's not just a big muscle meathead. I like a bit more depth there. Anyway, Snake. I'm kind of processing Snake right now, so sorry, I'm being a bit slow. But Snake, he has been to the top. He's seen the peak. He's such a strong fighter. He's probably been like a really high official or something. If he was part of that, what is it? That guard in Milkagard or Milk Lagarde, or I forget how you say it, in Constantinople. That's what I want to call it. So he's part of that Viking squad. He's probably been to the top, and he's just come down to something humble and simple and easy, and he's made a family out of it, and it's almost tragic how it's all taken away from him, and I love how he turns into an antagonist kind of for Thorfinn at the end of the arc, because you're like, oh come on, just let he's just another. It's just that complexity of like layers and grayness in Farmland Dog that makes it so great. Where you're like, man, I like you. Why are you fighting? I understand why you're fighting, but it feels bad. Can we just Arnie have like let it go? Like let it go with Garda. Can we just not have a nice thing? And like so. Yeah, and then also Snake's fight with Thorfinn, maybe one of my favorite fights in the whole series, because that's like, I know Thorfinn trips over a rock, which is kind of funny. Like it's not really a fight, but Thorfinn has like the great panel of him staring, and you're like, oh, he looks like Askeladd and Thor's in this one panel. I love that a lot. He's got like Thor's eyes, but then because he's got the goatee and the blonde hair, he kind of looks like Askeladd, and it's like, oh boy, Thorfinn's cooking, and it's like there's so much hype towards it. Also, Snake kind of snoozing around and stuff. It's nice and enjoyable. But yeah. Anyway, King Sven. Great antagonist for when he's used. D-tier for me. I wouldn't say I don't care about him, but it's just nice. I also like how he's another character that's not just pure evil. He definitely seemed like he's had good intention, and now he's haunting Canute. And through that, there's some really nice Canute dynamics. Yeah, and he's pretty smart, and he is like, he feels like, yeah, he's just another good antagonist for Askeladd to butt heads with, really. Not much more to say. Bug Eyes. Does his head count as a separate character? No, I wouldn't consider Askeladd a different character when he appears in Thorfinn's dreams. I know it's technically an embody of Thorfinn's thoughts and of it's not them literally, but when Askeladd turns up, you're like, yeah, Askeladd is back, baby, and then they have the 6th scene in Ragnarok, in Valhalla, I mean, and and Askeladd's just like, what's up? Yeah, and so the head's great. The head's fantastic for Canute. And yeah, so I think is that constant cynicism, and it almost feels very Shakespearean. I feel like that floating in. Is that like a Macbeth thing? Maybe, can someone correct me on that? I feel like that's a Macbeth thing. Anyway, let's get to Bug Eyes. Bug Eyes gives a bit of disrespect, understandably so. Lots of his humor doesn't quite land. Sometimes it does though, and it's pretty funny. Like that one with Garm, I thought was funny. I was chuckling quite a bit reading that. And then the most recent chapters. The thing is, he's a character I wish that I could take more seriously at some points, because sometimes you're like, yeah, this guy's a good point. He's very pragmatic, but he's often just completely undermined. And I wish we don't tolerate Bug Eye slander. This is true. The thing is, B tier is pretty crowded. I think I am just going to put Bug Eyes in C tier for now. He has like a bit of an arc off screen where he's like kind of like hooked up with a girl that's only in there for the money because he's been like a merchant. But the thing is, he's another one that's probably been really cucked by the lack of Constantinople, because I'd love to see Bug Eyes in his element where he's like, I know how markets work. I know how to kind of, get around there and help Thorfinn and the crew out, because Leif's going to be bedridden in the boat. So Bug Eyes would be, the guy who knows how to bargain, and he's very pragmatic. He's very strong. Like he's good at putting up a front. Like that. The character all lends to him being good at bartering and being a bit sleazy, and it works very well. It's just not quite enough character there. In another character, I hope that we get a bit more of a serious arc later on, because his whole arc with the girl is just treated like a joke, and it is quite funny to see him like spend all his money and going ha 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 ha, but very comically so. But yeah, Thorgil. I don't rate Thorgil as high as others. I'll be honest. C tier. But that does not ever take away from the pit in my stomach when Thorgil turns up on that farm and you're just like, it's all going wrong. I've talked about it before on this already, but Bug Eyes is definitely a cool character in that he's a survivalist, and that itself maybe because he used to be a slave. Oh, that's a great point. That's a fantastic point. Yeah, so like his background, I think I think Bug Eyes can also, like, there's a lot to build on with Bug Eyes. You can do a lot with his character. You know, like he may have like inadequate issues because you know he's literally named after Thorfinn. You know, like everybody calls him Bug Eyes. You know, like he feels like he's not wanted. So he may have a chip on his shoulder, and like so you could do stuff with that. Like, and I think if Bug Eyes could be taken seriously, and then Ivar convinces him that like Thorfinn is a bit of an idiot, then you can have like actually quite a strong to it because Bug Eyes is the most flaky. He's not idealistic. He's being practical. But I just hope that's not just undermined to be like, oh, he's weak and he's pathetic. I want Bug Eyes to be something that you can take a little bit more seriously sometimes. Like he's still, I'd be absolutely fine to have more comedy in his character. But yeah, like the witches in Macbeth do appear 3 times, if I remember correctly. The first apparition is like a floating head. Also, good day. Good day. Anastasis. I don't recognize this name. Well, I do recognize it from somewhere, but if you're from the Reddit, and you don't have the similar name, I won't recognize you. I know Reddit Vinland Saga names better, but sorry, names from used on the Vinland Saga Reddit. Anastasis. I've seen that name before. I swear. Anyway, good day to you. Yeah. What was I talking about? I was talking about with Thorgil. He also has the underwater scene where he could kill. I don't rate that scene as much as say other YouTubers, particularly Kyle Entertainment, of him almost killing Canute. Is a cool panel, but I was like, oh, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Like, it is a good part, but like in retrospect, you're like, nah, he's never gonna do it. And then Wolf steps in. Oof. Oh. Oh no, I feel really bad now. Is this Anne? Oh no, this is awful. Yes. Yes. Okay, I know. That's Anne, right? That's Anne. Please, I'm so sorry. Oh dear. I'm a fraud. You all knew it. Anyway, Thorgil, I don't rate him as much as others, but he definitely serves his role magnificently. C tier, like, look, C tier is great characters. You know, like, I love all these characters, so no disrespect. Thorkel. Okay, Thorkel is going to be like Canute, but he's going to A tier. Thorkel, I loved the little bit of, like, I love how much depth of him is behind the scenes and you have to dig up. I think that's the most fun part about Thorkel. He's similar to Askeladd where, like, lots of stuff... it is Anne. Yes, good morning. Okay, thank goodness. There we go. So Thorkel, I don't find Thorkel's humor that funny. There's a few times I do find him... It was so funny. Okay, good. So Thorkel, like, his fight scenes are pretty good. I like the first fight scene of him and Thorfinn because that reminded me of Sheik versus Donkey Kong in Smash 4 for some reason. I don't know why when I read that, but I was like, this Sheik character. I was like, Thorfinn's gonna wipe the floor with this dude. He already beat the first dude. Like, it's gonna be easy. Like, I know this guy throws a boulder, but he's just like big muscle head. He's not got the speed. And then, like, and you're like, Thorfinn's gonna get the ankles. He gets the He looks like he's gonna get the neck or was it? And then this Thorkel just stops it with his hand. It's so amazing. I can't believe, like, in retrospect, I'm just like, oh man, I'm such an idiot for not thinking that Thorkel was like bigger business than he actually was because everybody was hyping him up. But I was like, nah, Thorfinn's got it. But I love how he is this embodiment of war, this embodiment of the Viking ethos, and he's reached the height of it. He's the pinnacle of it, and he's still not fulfilled. And he's like the ultimate like case study for why Viking society doesn't, like, at least the aesthetic of war and why war doesn't work. Just like it just doesn't work. So so he's like saying, hey, you could get here and you're still unfulfilled. It's also shown with Thor's as well when you're like, okay, well, Thor's got to the top, but then you realize he had a family, and families are just way cooler, according to Yukimura at least, than fighting in war. And that makes sense because Yukimura, that was around when he had his first child. And I think, fatherhood is deeply explored in Vinland Saga. It matters a lot to Yukimura. It may not be a grand narrative, a grand theme that is weaved together very intricately like, say, pacifism is. But I definitely think that, like, there's so many different case studies of different types of fatherhood and son or daughter dynamics that are just fantastic. And Thor's being like, yeah, being a father is way more important than being the best warrior to ever live. And so he resigns himself to being a father. If we can get off Thor, I want to talk a bit more about this fatherhood thing. So you can see there's so different case studies. So you can see, I'm hesitant to say Askeladd has a particularly, I think it's not a particularly father-son relationship. If it is a very it's much more of a semantic issue, but like it's not a good relationship. It's not a positive relationship. But Askeladd has definitely had a massive influence on Thorfinn's life. He's definitely one of the most impactful. He was in those most influential years of like 6 till 18 or whatever, you know. But like, so you have like Ragnar and Canute, and then Canute and Sven where he is. Thorkel is S tier for you. Fair enough. I think if I got his humor and I enjoyed him a lot, I'd probably put him higher. But I'm yeah. So his humor's a bit on miss for me. So he's like his kind of superficial personality doesn't click with me, but it's more of the deeper stuff that I really do enjoy with him. You got Floki and Boulder. You got Snake and Spherical, and then Spherical. With Olmar and with Kessel, like you got so many different just case studies of like different types of fatherhood and son things, and Yukimura I think is really almost using that to explore how he wants to be a father himself, and so I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. Because if you go to his Twitter, you go to Yukimura's Twitter, his handle is mangaka, so a manga author, father of 3 sons, and then the author of Vinland Saga. So, you know, like he cares, he put, you know, he's father of 3 sons before he is a Vinland Saga writer, which is his most famous series and, you know, what we love him for. But that's the thing, he puts so much value on being a father. And so Yukimura really, I think there's a lot to unearth with that scene. I'd like to do a bit more of a deep dive on the father dynamic. Anyway, Thorkel. I love how he's not satisfied with war. I love how he's smart, but he just chooses not to. He's very self-aware, and I think that's the best part of Thorkel. He's not like, oh, I'm big monkey brain, just gonna smash things. He's like, no, I'm gonna smash things because I find it fun. I'm gonna make it hard for myself because I find it fun, because I want to have as much fun fighting people as much as possible. He's not self-aware enough to find out that, hey, if he didn't fight, maybe he would find satisfaction in other things like Thor's. He wants to find out what Thor's was about, and the closest you get is to almost fighting Thorfinn again, but he doesn't. He's like, oh, Vinland? What's this Vinland thing? Like, so Thorkel is actually almost a bit of a traumatic character because he's reached. It's almost like, say, like, you know, someone becomes a billionaire in this world or like gets insanely rich and they, you know, they're not fulfilled by that money. In a similar vein, Thorkel has become the greatest warrior, and it's not. He does talk about his kids a lot in the text after the chapters. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So respect to the author. So he's a mangaka before a father. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, anyway. Thorfell regretting not going to Thor's was really great. Yeah. Thorkel is actually a slightly tragic character. He's just stuck in the same spot. And, you know, he doesn't kill Thorfinn. Why? Because he respects Thor's, but also he wants Thorfinn to come back and fight him. He doesn't kill Garm because like the amount of people that can make him feel something when he's fighting is so little that needs to spare their lives so he can fight them again. And that's what he's really looking for. And that's why he lets Garm go. That's why he doesn't kill Garm, because he's like, if I kill him, I don't have anybody else to play with. And that's, you know, despite as wacky as Ymir just turns up and is like, hey, I'm here to fight you. Like, he does want a wrestling toy. Like, you know, like nothing's like adequate for him and his desires. And so that's just a really sad thing. But it is also to be like, hey, this dude living the Viking way and is unfulfilled. Don't be like him. I think that's the message from Thorkel. Very intriguing interpretation of the fatherhood theme. Thank you. I think the fatherhood thing is more of an eclectic thing. It's not like a massive through line. I haven't found like a thing that brings them all together, but it's more like, here's loads of different examples of how fathers and sons can work out, and here I am trying to navigate it as an author and also as a father. Me being Yukimura here, of course. All right, so Thor's. The Legend of Thor's is A tier. Now, Thor's isn't in here for very often, but his legacy and the echoes of his character carry some of the prologue for me. I love it when you're like, oh, Thorfinn's gonna find out a little bit about Thor's here. Thor like, and so Thor's being in the memories of so many of the characters around him is really cool and really awesome. I love, first of all, I love the type of character that Thor's. I love big characters with a big heart, kind of like your what the Sergeant Major Armstrong from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Also Scorpia from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Who else? Cuddy from The Wire. You know, I like these big characters. You know, muscular frames and but big hearts, male or female. Just I like those. Naui from Dorohedoro. You know, like those type of characters. So Thorkel, he's also a bit of a dork. You know, he messes up the welding on the pan or the pot or whatever as he's hammering. Like he's hammering too hard, and so you're like, oh, it's nice. And he has this lovely scene where you know Helga's wrapping his hand, and there's a lot of sorrow there. And then from there, you're like, oh, Thorfinn, son of Thor's. He's a big deal. I want to know more about Thor's. You better put respect on Thorfinn's name. Put respect on Thor's name. He died a hero. I love Thor. You know, and it carries through. And then you meet Thorkel, and it's like, yeah, I know who Thor's is. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Thor's. And you're just like, oh man, that scene where he's on the roof and he's drunk because he thinks Thor's is dead. And then, you know, that one's a great scene. And then even further later on in the Farmland arc, when Thorfinn goes to has a dream after he's punched a dude and he meets Thor's, and like this view of how Thor's would view Thorfinn is fantastic as well. And then how Thor's also lives through the eyes of characters. That's such a good artistic detail where like Thorkel was trying to find a character that's like, hey, your eyes, like Thorkel's, you know, very perceptive, and it's like, okay, Canute's eyes are like Thorkel's. They have a conviction. I think that's the best example of Yukimura actually backing Canute, what Canute's doing, because Thor's is meant to be this ideal character. Then Canute gets the eyes of Thor's, and they're drawn the same. And then Thorfinn is recognized by Helga through his eyes with Thor's. You know, like so, like the eyes matter a lot artistically, and so Thor's living through that, and then his thing with Floki and how Floki just feels like he's looking down on him, and so the echoes of Thor's character are fantastic, despite actually not being in it very long. Leaf, I really like Leaf at the beginning, but I felt like he's just a good background character, but he hasn't had anything super substantial. He's a bit of an antagonist to Gudrid in the Fetid Turn chapters. Actually, that made me dislike him more. I'm just like, oh, come on, Leaf, stop being such an old man. Like, let girls sail, you know? Don't be so sexist. But like, that his ending with Thorfinn was so lovely. He's like, go, my son. And he's just like, yeah, he never quite got back to Vinland, but he starts this whole thing off, and you got to like him for it. He also has a few good quips here and there. Also, you really want him to find Thorfinn again. You're like, oh, please find Thorfinn. Yeah, so it follows that. But yeah, Sita for me. Askeladd's mum, I forget her name, is like Lara or something. Oh, damn, I forget. Anyway, she goes in here. Askeladd's dad, Ulf, also goes in here. Olmar, I'm going to put him next to Sigurd, actually, because they're very similar character arcs. But dang, Olmar, I love how he turns out in the end. He's one of those like wholesome character arcs. Like, he's another one of those wrenches. As I said before, Farmland arc just keeps on falling apart, falling at the seams. The happy, beautiful farmland that, you know, that will allow Einar and Thorfinn to actually not have to suffer too much during their times as slaves, just comes crashing down, and Olmar not being able to cut the pig is a great scene. Just typical, once again, thematic, you know, stupid Viking male youth, very similar to Sigurd. Yeah, just nice to see. Petal, definitely a C tier. Love the guy. He's like, yeah, he's like the wingman in the corner of generally of our slaves, because he's been there. He's now a farmhand, and you're like, yeah. He's also got those Brock eyes where he's like always sort of squinting. It's an interesting aesthetic choice. And I just like how he, you know, it's almost a sense of comfort there. Where you're like, yes, thank you, Petal, for standing up to the other farmhands. he is called Petal, right? P-E, C for C, C, Leaf at C. It is kind of low, and compared to the rest of the characters, but there's just too many good characters. Vinland Saga needs to get worse characters so I can put Leaf higher. Yes, yes. Almost little speech about bravery was very, very good. I wish I could remember it better. Oh, but I love at the end when they do have a little time skip and it shows him like sweating and working really hard. At the beginning he's not, but now he is really working really hard. It's a very satisfying arc, almost. Petal, yeah, Petal's nice because he gives a bit of that stability where you're like, okay, thank goodness someone's arguing in their corner for Kessel, for two Kessel for Aina and Thorfinn. Because man, when those farmhandlers, handlers or whatever they're called, when they ruined their field, I was so mad. And that's like the part of the farmland where I'm like, yes, it's getting emotions out of me. I love it when emotions, even if I'm mad. This dude, I think this is another one of the guests, but I'm just going to put him down here because I don't care. All right, so Thorfinn. Let's go with my checklist for characters I like. Yeah, man. Well, actually, I don't think we need to. Thorfinn is S tier. I think it is pretty. I understand complaints about him becoming a little bit more boring, a bit more like just like a bit too good, a bit too like emotionless. Always seems like is the right answer. And I understand that, and I also kind of agree. I would like a bit more like pushback against him. But his arc is just so fantastic. He is such a strong main character. He's gone through so much, and he's not even like a main character for the prologue, as many people have said. He is just there, and I love how like Vinland Saga is just like we just got characters interacting with the world, and then we focus in more on Thorfinn. Thorfinn during the Farmland arc is just fantastic. When he's there, and Fox is trying to cut up himself to make him scared, but Thorfinn's not scaring you. Like you're thinking to yourself, you're like, if only Fox knew who this boy was. He's Thorfinn Karlsefni. And I love the kind of like fallen legend archetype where their name echoes around the world. Because people know him, but he's just reduced to ashes because of his mental state. This is why I love Korra Season 4. Also, I'm currently loving Megalobox Nomad. Fantastic series, that is. A really good anime. You actually, I don't think you need to watch the first season to get that. That's another reason why I really like Bucky from the Winter Soldier. This kind of like fallen legend, because they've got some sort of like mental issue, that character arc they need to fulfill. But yeah, Thorfinn's easy S tier. Baltic Sea War, like, yeah, there's so much focus on him, and there's so much to talk about with Thorfinn. I don't, but like so much of it has been said, so I don't really want to go into as much. But yeah, so he goes through. I think the key thing is that Thorfinn still has to grow. He's still a little bit arrogant. He's still very self-centered. Like he has not arrogant. Sorry, he's opposite of arrogant. What am I saying? But he views himself as worthless completely. He has such a low view of himself, but that almost in a way like he's still being quite self-centered about that. He needs to think about others. He needs to think, okay, others can help me. I don't have to just rely on myself. We're stronger together. People, it's not just I don't have to just worry about what I think about myself. I need to think about what other people think about me. And there's another thing that could have been explored more in the Constantinople arc, about, Gudju cares about him, but he can't see that because he's so focused on himself, and he's like, I need to stop people I care about hurting themselves because of me, because that really sucks, and I hate that how that feels. But he's gone almost too far in the other way. It'll be interesting to see how his arc ends, because, if it ends up, I wish the narrative would challenge him more. Yeah, I think this is, I mean, I think the Baltic Sea War arc, as Carl said in his video, is meant to challenge Thorfinn, but I don't think it does feel like he gets off a little easy. And I think currently he is shown to be a lot wiser and clearly in the right, like while the narrative, how the narrative's portraying him. So I hope he does get pushed back. Maybe he makes another error. Maybe he makes another mistake. He definitely needs to of some sort. Anyway, I'm not. Thorfinn's still got a lot of way to go, and it'll be really interesting to see how his whole story ends. But currently, he's definitely an S tier just for specific moments, even if he's not S tier all the time. Even though he's maybe not as consistently peaking as an Askeladd. Thorfinn's had stretches where he's just as good as Askeladd. For the similar amount of time, he's just kind of dawdled at some other times. So, but yeah, no, Thorfinn's a fantastic character, carries the story. All right, man, I've been talking quite a bit. We're almost 2 hours in, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. Now, I love the sword breaking scene with Loki. Fantastic scene. Fantastic scene. That's the thing. Thorfinn has something really, like, also when he fights, like, I'm cucked by too much for pragmatism. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, currently, oh man, I'm sorry, I have a really stuffed nose now. I don't know why I get the stuffed noses sometimes. Let's take a little breather. I don't know. It seems obvious where Yukiburo is going, but I'm almost tempted to say that it's not where he's going. You know, and it's like I like the ambiguity of like we don't know how Vinland Saga is going to end up. You know, you may think thematically it's going for pacifism is the way, but and it seems to still be really in the firm camp of Thorfinn being correct. But I wonder if that kind of gets pushed over. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. It's hard to say. Anyway, you guys better watch out. Oh, question. Is this stream going to be uploaded to the channel or not? Yeah, this stream, I plan to cut down this into a shorter video. Probably still going to be like an hour long. So I can kind of get my main points in there. And then I'll upload it as a separate video. But I won't keep the stream on the channel. I may keep it as an unlisted video. But I think just so it's more digestible for people. I ramble a lot. When I'm going to listen back to this, I'm going to be like, dang, I've made some really... Well, I've made my points really poorly at some point. This is my first time doing it. So I'm probably going to try and edit it down, spice up a little bit jazz music or something like that. I hope I've been somewhat entertaining. If you got any comments for improvements for how I can maybe... if I'm actually that entertaining to listen to talk, I don't know, I am running a bit out of steam. But before we run out of steam, Best Girl is on the horizon. Tula, you guys better believe that Tula is going in D tier. But man, I'm not gonna put her any higher. But dang, I like Tula. You know, good girl Tula, giving Gudrid the thumbs up at the end. You know, yeah, okay, yeah. That's just how it's gonna be. Yeah, Tula. You know, I mean, she's a side character. You know, she's, I think she's Leaf's sister. I think. Or maybe, sister-in-law. Yeah, maybe sister-in-law. I forget. Anyway, she's a nice character while she's in there. Alright, and now we are whittling down to the end. This guy is called Wild Dog. I think this is Wild Dog. From the guests on the Farm of Dark. This guy looks like this guy, but this guy's another. Actually, let's put him next to his buddy here. These two are together trying to convince Thorfinn to come to Vargd or whatever he's called, and then Wolf. Final character gonna round us off here. Wolf's actually a really cool character. He's one of those characters that isn't looked into a ton, isn't pushed into a ton, but he clearly has he feels like he's got character writing behind him, and he's got he's strongly written for the small time he's used, and I don't think he needs any more. He's calculating, he's crafty, he is a servant, he's a simp, to use the the modern day terminology for the king, Canute, which fair enough, I'd simp for King Canute as well. Look at that hair. He has a fantastic scene. He has really good scenes. I love how he's training Canute, but he has some fantastic scenes in the Baltic Sea War arc, where he gets held up, you know, as I said before, by Thorkel, you know, with the Garendorf choke, and then also, you know, with that, you know, when he's talking to Canute. So yeah, he's crafty. C tier. All right, I think that's it, everybody. Is there anything else you would like me to talk about? Any questions? Anything at all? As we kind of round out this stream, what are your thoughts on this tier list? Is it still based? Well, never mind, or is it kind of bad? Yeah. saying the words based and cringe do not sound good coming out of my mouth. I do not like it, but I have to use it to kind of hang out with you guys, right? That's how it works. I actually check my tweets. Let me just check my tweets real quick. I got... Oh, someone's followed me. Thank you. Okay. Let me go back. Kettle above Arnid? It is weird. It is weird. Okay, I came into this. I was kind of figuring out in my head last night. I was like, okay, Kettle's B tier easily. And then, today I woke up as a Kettle stan. I woke up today and I was like, today. Any predictions for the chapter this month? Okay, so I think we're going to be going back to Village Arnid. Pebby based. I'll take the Pebby based. So I think we're going to go back to the town. Hopefully, we actually get a bit more with the villagers, with the natives. I mean, we get to investigate that a little bit more. I like to actually see their designs and their faces. They're going to be so cool, man. I really want to see Yukimura's interpretation of them because they're going to have a very interesting high cheekbones, and I love the facial structure of when you see those pictures of old Native Americans and you're like, man, they look so like. They're very, very defined, and I think that's really cool. Canoe is S. That's about it. Fair enough. We're using never mind's judgment in order to determine whether something's based or not. Yes, we are. Well, he came in and said based so far, so gotta appeal to. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, so I reckon we're going to go to the natives. We're going to hopefully have a bit more with them. I think Ivor, he's going to carry on scheming. He's going to get even more disgruntled. Ivor's not going to, come over to Thorfinn's side. I only have hopes. I think I don't have any really strong opinions what's going to happen directly next chapter. I just hope we get a bit more Gudrun and a bit more Aina. Really. Yes, Mr. R. I'm going to call him Raichia. Go check out. Okay, shout outs to Mr. R. He's doing an Attack on Titan live stream after this. He's ranking all his characters as well. So if you want another tier list, go check him out. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go there, but I'll definitely hop in for a bit. I can't. He's on Twitch though, so I can't be send all my stuff over. Yeah. Any predictions? Yeah, I don't. The thing is, the chapters are so short. It's hard to do a strong predictions next month. Ivor's reasonable criticism of Thorfinn's meta is always going to be poisoned by dumb war praising comments. This really makes me wonder what way Yukimura is going with the story. Yeah, yeah. So I think Ivor's being done a little dirty at the moment for an interesting thematic continuation of the story. I think that is a bit of a worry. But I'm not here to pass judgment on it quite yet because I'd like to see how it goes. I feel like there's so much more. Catch me in a year's time, and maybe I'll at the moment I do agree with you. I do hope that I find Ivor being a warmongering brute, but maybe if Bug Eyes kind of actually gets convinced by him, and then Bug Eyes can argue for more. Less war perspective, but just being more pragmatic and practical, because that's how Bug Eyes is. I think that works. How long are these chapters usually? 20 pages. They're 20 to 25 pages. Sometimes 18 pages. Yukimura. This is another tweet that I don't have the confirmation of, but I remember seeing that Yukimura actually only works maybe 3 or 2 weeks of the month, and then he spends the rest of the month with his family, which is pretty based. And I think that actually makes sense because of the themes of his story. Now, I'd like to be able to actually point you to that source where I got that information. So take that with a massive grain of salt. That's just hearsay for now. I don't have any quotes to back myself up. Yeah. Yeah. Was I saying something before? I can't remember. My stream brain has gone down where we've hit the 2 hour mark. Any other questions? If not, I'll end it there. Thank you so much for coming. Chapter 145 had a dark comedy moment where the person starts to find the meaning of life. Is that the soldier dying? Yeah, like, so, oh, that's a hell yeah, work-life balance. Very based. Yes, very based. As you know, keep Yukimura healthy, keep him his passion in the game. Don't let him get burned out. This was really chill. Yeah, actually, one more thing I'd like to say about Boulder Sea Walk. It does have a lot more like nice soldier, perspectives, which are good. Maybe I understand if people are like, it's a bit too on the nose when the guy is like confirmed that Valhalla doesn't exist. But let's be honest, Valhalla already kind of was confirmed not to exist in chapter 71 when Thorfinn went down there in his dreams. Good stream. Thank you. I don't know if I'll do it very often, but if there's some way I can like increase the speed at which I can see your replies and so I can get back to you, because it's a bit painful having a conversation because I like to talk to you guys more, I like to chat more. But yeah. I think that's it. I'm going to give another 10 seconds. Pine Kit's agreeing. Also, yeah, it's been very fun watching it. Honestly, I could talk about Vinland Saga all day. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I like to sit down and have chats with people. But I mean, I also like making... The thing is, when I have conversations or I'm doing something ranty like this, it's hard for me to really get my thoughts in order. That's why I love scripting videos, because it makes me seem a lot smarter than I am. Chill with the based comments. Or you're going to start saying it. Yeah, no. It's not really part of my vocabulary yet. I'll stop it while I can. Also, webcam. I think because of the webcam, my streams are just objectively better than Kyle's. Kyle's out here being like, I don't know, man. I don't want to come out to my parents. I make YouTube videos. Oh, that's kind of cringe, everybody. Yeah, support links in description. Thanks. But yeah, the boy. I want to see what the car looks like. I'm also a really big fan of your Hild video. Thank you very much. That was made like 6 months ago. Oh, I need to make more. It's done really well though. It's on like 1,600 views or something. It keeps on getting like 10 views every 24 hours or 48 hours. I mean, so yeah. Hopefully, I'm thinking of making a longer video on why Vinland Saga is still good. So basically, kind of like a bit of a defense of Baltic Sea Walk and Eastern Expedition, and why it hasn't fallen off. Because most people say, Prologue and Vinland Saga, masterpieces. Baltic Sea Walk, 8 out of 10. I'm just like, I'm not sure. There's a lot of really good stuff in Baltic Sea Walk, and I'm loving Vinland Saga at the moment. I love the chill vibes of with the crew and just seeing the characters. Wow, that meal was very good. With the extra kick and the spice, that was very based. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm hoping to make a Willowbolt video. Why Vinland Saga is still good. Do I have any other ones planned? I may think of some other ones. But yeah. I mean, I've talked so much about Hild. I should say Hild. I think I've been saying Hild, because that's what Kyle says. And he was the first person I ever heard say all these names out loud. So I think Willowbold's also pronounced Villebold, because it's like German, right? Or Danish. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming along. Feel free to like it and subscribe, I guess, if you want to be notified from when other videos will come out. Hopefully during the summer, I'll be able to get more videos out in general. I have one planned for Korra, Legend of Korra. I have another one planned for The Wire, a big one for The Wire. That one will probably come out first. I also have another one on Teppu, which is a martial arts manga. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I probably have quite a few more that I've got in the backlog. Anyway, I don't know how to end streams. I'm dawdling on. Kiss, kiss. Just smashed my whole desk. Kiss, kiss. Ended up just steal all of Kyle's stuff. Turns out I need to listen more to people with British accents. I mean, you managed to understand the Aussies, so you're doing pretty good. And to be fair, mine is, people say I actually sound slightly American, so which is fair enough because my parents are American. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Stay healthy and stay care. Yeah, make sure you stay safe, guys. Corona's still out there. See you later.